Welcome back to Culture Bite. I'm your mutant Kevin G, and today I'm here to talk to you about the ending of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem and what that post-credit scene can mean, some theories I have, and what I thought of this movie overall. But first, let's get to the recap and remember, spoilers ahead. This movie begins with Giancarlo Esposito voicing Baxter Stockman, who in TMNT lore was initially the one who turned into the Fly. Still, in this movie, they made Superfly an original character voiced by Ice Cube, but Stockman was stopped and his mutant was dropped down to the sewers. We pick up 15 years later and we learn that the Turtles have been hiding in the shadows, but we can clearly see that they want to join the real world. But Splinter forbids them as he has a hate for humans that started when he first tried to make contact with them. A cool tidbit here is that the Times Square guy that tried to pull on Splinter is actually voiced by Mr. Beast, so that's actually pretty dope. This is when Splinter decides to learn the art of ninjutsu, and I just think that it is awesome that he's watching some of Jackie Chan's old films, because Master Splinter in this film is actually voiced by Jackie Chan, so it's pretty dope. We get a scene where Superfly sort of makes an appearance, but as the camera moves back, we see a sign that says the property of TCRI, which stands for Techno Cosmic Research Institute. Now keep this in mind for later. But when Splinter grounds them or sewers them for 1 month, they break this rule and go to the surface once again. But on this night, they see April O'Neil getting her scooter robbed, and since Leonardo becomes fascinated by her, he has no choice but to jump into action and save her scooter. The voice actress of April O'Neil is Ayo Edebiri, and she actually voiced Gloria Grant from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And if you're asking yourself, who is that? She was one of the members of the band, the Mary Janes, with Gwen Stacy at the beginning of the film. Once she gets past the turtle talking and walking like a human part, she starts to make a deal with the Turtles to help them save more humans, but she wants to get the story first. April is known as Puke Girl in her school, so she makes this opportunity to change that. And I have to say that this montage of the Turtles kicking some serious ass was very exciting, especially when you hear the song No Diggity by Backstreet. That definitely set the tone for this. It was such great music to use for this scene. I like how each one takes charge for one of the fights, and they all have even Avengers like Marvel lineup, which is awesome, which is actually pretty funny also when you think about how much they bring up Avengers Endgame and Mark Ruffalo. They even actually bring up the scene where the kids come up to Hulk and ask for a picture, and who took that picture? Scott Lang, aka Paul Rudd, who voices Mando Gecko later in the film. But eventually the Turtles are face to face with Superfly and his gang of mutants. We have Bebop voiced by Seth Rogen, Rocksteady voiced by John Cena. Actually, funny tidbit here, we have Natasha Demetrio, who plays Wingnut, which is a mutated bat, and I think is a nod to her character Nadja from What We Do in the Shadows, where they spontaneously turn into a bat.
Great.
We have Ray Fillet, which I believe is a stingray, who is voiced by Post Malone. So no wonder why he loves to sing so much. We have Leatherhead, who is mutant alligator and is voiced by Rose Byrne, who played Moira McTaggart in the X-Men movies. Well, the prequel ones actually. Then we have Genghis Frog, who is voiced by Hannibal Buress. I just love this guy, honestly. And we have Stunbug, which is voiced by, well, honestly, who knows? Can you understand that? And of course, we have Mando Gecko, voiced by Paul Rudd. Superfly tells them that they are like cousins, so the Turtles go and hang out together until they discover that the Superfly once tried, like Splinter, to make contact with humans, and it didn't turn out so well. But instead of running away, he fought back, and then we discover that Superfly inherited his dad's intelligence, and you can see that's not the only thing Superfly inherited, as he has his dad's hair from earlier in the film, so that's kind of curious. But then we find out that he wants to kill all humans and turn every animal or fly into a mutant like them, so that mutants can rule the world. When the Turtles try to escape with the serum, they are stopped by Superfly and are caught by Cynthia Erdtrum, who is voiced by Maya Rudolph. In TMT lore, Untrum is an alien race that looks similar to a brain, but Untrum was actually responsible for the mutant that helped create the turtles and other mutants of the world. Most notably, Krang is a Untrum. Who is Krang? Well, he's a foe of the turtles that has shown up in the 2012 anime series of recent, and he would even team up with Shredder. When Cynthia catches them, she milks some of their blood, which is something that their dad Splinter would warn them of, but also sounds a little like the live action movie where they started to drain them of their blood. But as this occurs, April goes to Splinter for help to save his sons. This is when we see why Splinter is such a badass, and clearly those films he watched paid off. I just love how he uses each of the turtles' weapons to fight. Just shows how truly he's a legend. But once he's done kicking ass, he realizes that his son were in a freaking milking machine. The turtles return to Superfly's lair with Splinter, and instead of getting into another fight, they use their words and tell the other mutants that they accept them for who they are and that they can live with them. That's when they turn on Superfly and say that they don't want to kill anyone. But Superfly is not down with the get down. As each of the mutants take their shot at Superfly, they all eventually band together to fight him. This is when Superfly says something that scares Splinter. He says,
"There's only one way for you to feel safe and happy, and that's if you listen to me."
Which reminded Splinter of how he sounded when he speaks to his sons. The machine is finally destroyed along with Superfly, or so we thought, as Superfly has now grown into a freaking muted kaiju. Luckily, April stole a bike earlier from one of Cynthia's agents, and the bike actually luckily had an anti-serum to stop Superfly. This is when the turtles see the newscast that is blaming them for the attack that is occurring in the city. This is actually then when we get an Attack on Titan reference when he says that they can attack the back of the neck, which is how you defeat a Titan. But in this case, it's a blowhole on the whale body that mutated with Superfly. Yeah, it's kind of freaky. April finally gets her big shot to redeem herself as she tells the real story and tells them the turtles and the mutants are on their side. But sadly, she still throws up just a little bit. This is when the city of New York bands together to help the turtles battle Superfly, which kind of reminds me of that scene from Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
But they finally give Superfly the anti-serum. We get one last lineup shot. We see that the turtles and the other mutants live together now, and the turtles are getting ready to go on their first day of school. This is when we start off the post-credits scene where we see the turtles are starting to fit into their new life in high school. But then we also pick up with April, where she's talking about the new April Today show, where they have TCRI written on the backboard and all spread out with multiple paperwork. So clearly the TCRA are going to play a bigger part, and they were a part of the Untrums as well. We see Leo ask April to prom, as we see Cynthia Urtrum surveilling them as she has Superfly in a non-mutated state trapped in a tube. But she says that capturing the turtles are going to be a bit of a problem, as her agent says there is one option. As we pull away from the city, we see Shredder lurking in the thunderous rain. And let me say, seeing him for this glimpse just gets me excited. I have so many theories now. So we know that Paramount Plus will be making an animated series following the events of this film, and will act as a bridge for the next film, which has been greenlit before this film was even released. Now, I do think that the series will continue the animation style and follow the turtles in their everyday life of being a high school students and also battling crime. And I believe that this film would dive deeper into who is Cynthia Urtrum and how is she connected to Shredder. One theory I have is that Shredder could be a Untrum as well, and a part of the Krang hive mind. We do see that Superfly is still around, and I wonder if they would dive deep into why Superfly is so smart and why he looks so familiar to Baxter's Doctrine. Now, I know that this movie had a comparison to Across the Spider-Verse because of the animation style that they used, but I think this movie is pointed more toward kids. But hey, I really enjoyed it. I kind of chuckled a couple of times myself during it, and honestly, I need to say the music is just Chef's Kiss, honestly, it truly just sets the tone for the film. From Ninja Rap by Vanilla Ice to Shimmy Shimmy Ya by Dirty Old Bastard to Can I Kick It by A Tribe Called Quest to A Party Up by DMX, this freaking songs were amazing. But what I think about this film really benefited from is the voice actors. They seem to really be going more for the teenage side of the turtles, and it's really fitting with the kids that they chose to play the turtles. I think they did a great job on capturing the foolishness of the turtles instead of making them so serious like we saw a glimpse of in the beginning of the film when Leo was giving them their mission.
Go, Gert. Go, Gert. Okay, Batman.
And I have to mention that Ice Cube did a great job as a villain, and I really enjoyed Jackie Chan's portrayal of Master Splinter. I like how they build on the characters for the turtles, and I really can't wait to see how they transition this into an animated series and into the next film. But I will be here trying to break down and explain everything that happens in the future installments. Hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this, and drop a comment in the comment section to let me know what you guys thought about this film, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @thekevguy, and subscribe to Culture Bite and follow Culture Bite as well. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.